Hi, my name is Zandile Tshabalala. I'd say that I'm a painter. Recently graduated and I suppose still figuring out her practice. For me, it really is an honor to be part of such a big exhibition, especially that is focusing on African portraiture or just African artists in general from Africa and the African diaspora. I think it's such a significant time in history, and to be part of it feels really amazing. Yeah. Firstly, the title is true to the works that I've seen here and my own works. And I think for me, when we see us in my own translation or understanding is turning the lens and the gaze towards ourselves, from referencing Black canons to just looking at one's own life as a Black person existing in their country and as a global citizen, and documenting that, saying that we were here, at least that's how I feel. I was here, this is how I thought, this is how I felt, and this is how I saw myself. So I think when we see us as like, I suppose a collective recognition, of the self, just Black people recognizing themselves and choosing how it is that they want to be portrayed or seen. Yeah. I definitely am a firm believer of referencing the Black canon. I do it a lot in my work. Fortunately, I exist in the current time where there's like an abundance of artists to look at, learn from. Personally, I've learned from artists such as Kerry James Marshall, Micheline Thomas, who does really amazing work that are focused on, I suppose, what it means to be homosexual or lesbian, and Njideka Crosby, who talks about her life as someone who has moved from their home country and being part of an interracial marriage. These are the people that I look up to. I think they have created room for me to share my narrative, and I mostly think that my narrative is focusing on what it means to be a young Black painter in South Africa today, who is also influenced by people who are not South African, who are not really experiencing things in the South African context as I am, and just decision making. And just looking at my own history, my own personal history, my own influences, the information that I'm exposed to, especially since I'm in this age where I'm really exposed to so much information, so many different histories, and sort of constructing image, constructing identity. My works contribute to Black art history, firstly, by depiction, the visual portrayal of Black figures or Black women, right? Even if it's self-portraits. And secondly, definitely contributing or going against these narratives of what a Black woman should be and shouldn't be. I think my work is constantly making very conscious decisions of what it is that it wants to be. I know, I had said previously, it's definitely a construction of identity and trying to make sense of things, right? Why is it that I think this way? Why is it that I'm exposed to this thing? And just documenting and archiving what it is that I'm, the people that I see in my life, the things that I'm thinking, the things that I'm feeling, of which most of it relates back to firstly presence, being present within the art, the canvas or painting, especially seeing that in Black Western canons of art history or painting history, you don't really see a lot of black people that are portrayed in the ways that I portray them in my work. So presence is a big contribution from my work, and secondly, just perspective of what it is to be a black woman in today's time. I'm a bit wary of like having an umbrella description, you know, of like, this is what black women are, because I don't think my work necessarily like speaks for everyone. But I try to leave room for like whether you relate or whether you want to contribute. I think each is appreciated. Firstly, my work, I'd say, is like self-portraiture. And I used to think that it was self-portraiture because I sort of like was the sitter in as much as I was the painter. But I think I realized later that I don't depict the figures as myself. I'm not too like concerned about whether or not they look like me, you know? But I think it's self-portraiture in many ways, in that I am documenting my history, I'm documenting my thoughts, I'm just documenting me being, right? Some desires as well, because I don't always get to just leisurely sit on the couch or just have time to contemplate. Sometimes it's really like portraits of like desires. And then secondly, I'd say that, again, I'm going to repeat, it's presence. I think I put so much emphasis on presence because my work, in it being so confrontational, so central, its main focus is like putting emphasis on the presence of the black women in painting. And then, yeah.